Good evening. History has been made. This afternoon, humans traveled farther from Earth than ever before.
The crew of the Artemis II mission have been engaged in their lunar flyby period for several hours. And as this hour closes, they'll make their closest approach to the moon. CTV's Heather Butts has more.
From the cabin of integrity here.
A monumental moment in history and a giant leap for deep space exploration, marked in time with some poignant words by Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
As we surpass the furthest distance humans have ever traveled from planet Earth, we do so in honoring the extraordinary efforts and feats of our predecessors in human space exploration.
Part of the first crewed lunar mission in 50 years, hitting the milestone everyone has been waiting for, the farthest humans have ever traveled from Earth.
Over 55 years ago, Lovell, Swigert, and Hayes flew 248,655 statute miles away from Earth. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
4 astronauts on board the Orion space capsule, breaking the record set in 1970 by the crew of Apollo 13. Now getting a look at parts of the moon never seen before by human eyes. As they set the record, another milestone.
The crew also called down 2 craters not yet named that they would like to name.
One called Integrity in honor of their spacecraft, and another to honor a member of their space family, astronaut Reed Weissman's late wife.
It's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol. And you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
The team embracing each other, an emotional moment in space.
Integrity and Carol Crater, loud and clear. Thank you.
Their lunar flyby is expected to last several hours. The wife of Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen sharing her perspective with me on CTV National News this weekend.
Why do you think it's important for Canadians to pay attention to this?
I really hope Canadians can see themselves in this mission. So this is the very best of human innovation and human imagination, and Canadians have earned their place alongside other international partners and, of course, Americans to be on this mission.
One this crew hopes is just the beginning.
They choose this moment to challenge this generation and in the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
For now, a communications blackout for almost an hour while they fly by the dark side of the moon. Heather Butts, CTV News, Toronto.
And for more insight on this exciting moment in human history, we are joined by none other than CTV science and tech expert Dan Riskin. Let's first talk about what the Artemis crew is doing right now as we speak, farther than any humans have ever gone before.
They are seeing things with their eyes no human has ever seen. I mean, astronauts have been to the far side of the moon, but it was dark every time because during the Apollo missions, they were looking for landing spots on the front of the moon. And so they were doing it when the sun was shining on the front of the moon. The back was dark. They couldn't see a thing. Now we're interested in landing in other places as well. And so we're taking advantage of the light on that dark side of the moon, the far side of the moon, a side that never faces the Earth. You can never see with a telescope. And they are just going crazy with Nikon cameras, taking as many pictures as they can over about a 6-hour period.
And they're also looking at the South Pole. How significant is that?
Well, the South Pole is sort of the magic place where landings look like they'd be really good to do because, among other things, there is ice water there. And H2O, you can make rocket fuel out of H2O. You can drink H2O. And so when you're talking about setting up a base, it makes sense to set up that base in a place that has natural resources you can use. And so getting a good look at those potential landing spots for one of the upcoming missions is important, but also just to get a good look at it with your eyes and to take as many pictures as possible, just to send those images back so we know more about our moon.
What's your sense? I mean, we were looking at a live shot earlier towards the moon, but when will we get some of this data, those of us here on Earth?
So within the hour, while you're doing this newscast, they will go to the far side of the moon and they will lose contact with the Earth. They won't be able to watch your newscast and they'll have to wait until they get to the other side. And they'll be gone about 40 minutes before they reemerge. And once they do, they'll start sending data back, but almost right away, they've got to start preparing for an eclipse that they're going to see from up there, where the moon blocks the sun from their perspective. That is something that wasn't even supposed to be on the table for this. It's only because the mission was pushed to a later date that became a possibility. And so they're going to see an eclipse. They've got eclipse glasses, just like we had to wear for our eclipse back here. And so that's a whole other area of observation. They've got to recalibrate all their cameras. They are busy today.
Wow, so they're all taking pictures. How good is their view? How far away are they?
Well, they're about more than 6,000 kilometers away. So the Apollo missions got very, very close. They are much farther, but because they're farther, they can see the entirety of the whole thing at once, and they can see the Earth with it. And that was the purpose of this mission, was to get that big look. And the cameras have improved since 1968, since 1972. And so they're getting amazing images of this moon despite that distance, and they are seeing the big picture.
We've come a long way. All right, CTV Science and Tech Specialist Dan Riskin, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. What a day.
Well, next to trips of a shorter distance, your next vacation may cost you more, as major Canadian airlines announced they'll be adding a fuel surcharge to some holidays.
It comes amid rising oil prices due to the war in Iran. CTV's John Musselman is live outside tonight at Pearson Airport, and he joins us now. John, traveler undoubtedly not impressed to hear this news.
Well, it's certainly top of mind, Michelle. People concerned about these rising fuel surcharges, especially as they start planning trips this spring, summer, right into the fall. Most passengers departing Pearson today booked flights weeks or even months in advance, so they avoided any new fuel surcharges imposed by the airlines. Still, there is growing concern that the war in the Middle East could impact future travel plans.
100%. I mean, how can not? How can not affect everything? But always when these fuel charges go up, the barrel goes up, we always feel it first at the pump and then at the airport.
Oh, I mean, if it's going up, there's going to be less people traveling, there's going to be less people going places, and I mean, I won't travel as much.
Now I have to fly to Manitoba, and then I have to drive 3.5 hours.
Well, they haven't affected ours because we booked so long ago, but they may be affecting other people.
Canadian carriers are implementing temporary fuel surcharges between $40 and $60, depending on the airline. Air Canada says it has adjusted fares to account for higher fuel costs. Travel agents say now more than ever, passengers need to make sure their travel plans are covered by insurance.
The viewers should check with the insurance company, the broker, whoever. If I were to buy cancellation insurance and our flight is canceled, yes, I know the airline will reimburse the cost of the airfare. The question is, who's reimbursing the cost of a cruise that we were supposed to meet that next day? Who's going to cover the cost of the rental that we booked for 2 weeks? All these things come into play with cancellation and interruption insurance.
Aviation analysts say the increase in jet fuel is only the tip of the iceberg. John Graddick says we are only days away from jet fuel supplies running out.
Probably about 25 to 30% of the world's aviation fuel does originate in the Middle East. So it is a significant impact on the airlines. Prices, yes, are going up, but I think the big tsunami that we're going to hit is going to be supply. We're going to start running out of aviation fuel probably within the next week or so in various parts of the world.
Graddick says countries in Southeast Asia will feel it first. Flights or specific routes will be canceled to deal with the jet fuel shortage. Meanwhile, back at Pearson, travelers are worried about what lies ahead.
It's going to affect me when I have to fly back home from Ontario to British Columbia, and I'm afraid to even check out the prices. I won't even look. I'm scared.
And we did hear that a lot from passengers worried about the extra fees coming online, Michelle, Nathan, but many people are saying, look, we'll swallow the costs. We had to take this trip and we need to fly. Reporting live from Pearson, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Also tonight, a double shooting in Brampton. We're live at the scene where 2 people were seriously injured. And we have more news in a moment, but first we're going to talk about the forecast. Here's a live shot. It is foggy out there. It's also, yes, spring, but it feels like winter, especially tomorrow. Bear that in mind for the kids heading back to school. Lindsay Morrison has a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan, you may or may not have been able to see in that live shot, but there are flurries flying around the city of Toronto. Not all of them are making it to the ground. Some of this on the radar is what we call virga, so that's where some of the precip evaporates before it makes it to ground level. But yes, it has been snowing in places already this evening, a few rain showers in some others. And as we continue through the night tonight and into tomorrow, we could see accumulating snow in places, especially for the areas that you see here under a special weather statement. It includes the north end of the GTA and then Durham region east. Here's a look at our winds. They're starting to strengthen. We're going to tap into a northerly wind tonight, and that sends the temperature plummeting. Not so bad right now. It is 3 degrees, but overnight we drop to -3, and then you factor in those winds I was just talking about, and it's going to feel into the minus double digits as we are waking up tomorrow. Coming up, I'll give you an idea of how much snow could fall in the hardest hit places. That's ahead, but for now, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, what a difference 5 months makes. Tonight, the Toronto Blue Jays will play host to the Los Angeles Dodgers, but under much less pressure, you could say, than the last time the two teams faced off.
A World Series rematch is set to take place in just under an hour's time. And CTV's Sean Leathong joins us from outside Rogers Centre with more on the matchup. And Sean, revenge would be nice.
Yeah, Blue Jays fans want revenge. The Blue Jays need a win, but when you ask the team, you ask the players, they say they just want to move on. The ending Toronto fans hate to see. The Blue Jays losing to the Los Angeles Dodgers in extra innings, Game 7 of the World Series. And now, 156 days later, these two teams are back on the field in Toronto. A regular season matchup early in spring that can't help but remind us all of what happened last fall.
It's in the past. It's over. It's a new year. They have a new team. We have a new team. And our goal is to win. That's about it.
You can't help but think a little bit about the fall.
You just got to forget it.
You know, you want to make it another series, you know, different year, different teams. But yeah, I think it's nice for everyone to write about and to get excited about and things like that. And yeah, a few short months ago, it was mayhem in here.
And there have been changes. Both the Dodgers and the Blue Jays look a little different. Toronto adding third baseman Kazuma Akamoto and starting pitcher Dylan Cease, while losing Bo Bichette to the New York Mets. Los Angeles adding perhaps the most feared closer in baseball in Edwin Diaz, and outfielder Kyle Tucker, who the Blue Jays were trying to sign. And the teams have had much different starts to 2026, with LA cruising to a 7-2 record, sitting atop the NL West, while the Blue Jays started hot, sweeping the Athletics, only to drop 5 of their last 6, coming off a weekend sweep at the hands of the Chicago White Sox.
I think not worrying about who we're playing or who we played in the World Series last year, we got to worry about just playing our game, which we haven't done the last 5 days or so.
Now, the biggest problem for the Blue Jays right now isn't the Los Angeles Dodgers, it's injuries. We know Jose Barrios, Trey Yesavich, Shane Bieber, all out right now. We found out that catcher Alejandro Kirk, who had hurt his thumb, he'll actually undergo surgery. So it will be some time before the Blue Jays are back to that World Series roster that we remember. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. And the World Series loss, it still stings for many Jays fans. CTV's Raheem Ladani has been talking with fans all day. And Raheem, what's the mood there as we get close to game time?
Hey, Michelle, you know, there's been a great atmosphere around the Dome all day, and there's been a range of emotions. Some individuals have said, you know what, new season, I've turned the page. Others are here looking for redemption and a little bit of a revenge against the LA Dodgers. This is a full circle moment, this 3-game series against the LA Dodgers and the Blue Jays. I think pitcher Kevin Gausman, though, he had a great analogy. He said he went back and rewatched all of the games from the postseason, and he felt like an ex listening to a voicemail after a breakup. He said he needed closure. And that's the feeling a lot of Jays fans have. There are fans here from Alberta, British Columbia. They all want to be here tonight for that full circle moment because they remember the roller coaster of emotion, the highs and the lows from that postseason run. Yes, it didn't end the way Jays fans wanted it to end, but this really was a bonding experience, not just for the city, but the entire country. And so everyone wants to be part of this moment. Have a listen to what some of the fans have told us.
November 1st last year to today. Have you recovered?
No, not quite. No, it still hurts and stings a bit, but I'm sure we'll prevail.
I was so proud of them. Anything they did, I was so happy with the results. They exceeded my expectations. Yeah, I'm over it, and I loved every minute of it.
Traveling around, and we get mostly warm receptions by fans, believe it or not. So I'm expecting tonight maybe not be as warm, maybe not get the Canadian hospitality we heard about.
Yeah, it may not be a friendly atmosphere inside the Dome, but what we do know is it's going to be a charged-up atmosphere. We saw last postseason how Jays fans can will the team during the postseason, and the Jays, as Sean talked about, with all the injuries, with the 4-game losing streak, the team is going to be needing all the help they can get, and hopefully the fans can help them out. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. I'll send it back to you both in studio.
I'm sure they will. Thank you, Raheem. To other news now, an afternoon shooting in Brampton has sent 2 people to hospital.
It happened in a townhouse complex near Bramley Road and Queen Street East. And that's where we find CTV's John Woodward tonight with the very latest. John.
Yeah, Nathan, it's a very active scene behind me. You can see the police officers guarding the entrance to that townhouse here on Central Park Drive in Brampton. They've just let more photographers in who are taking pictures of the scene, and there's police tape strewn throughout the complex where it appears that shooting took place. Police say earlier today, around noon, that's when an altercation between 2 people became violent. Shots were fired, and 2 people were struck, not fatally, but the 2 men in their 20s were able to make their own way to a nearby hospital, and that's where their injuries seem to be taken quite seriously by medical staff, who decided to airlift one to a local trauma center in serious but not life-threatening condition. The other one remains in hospital. All of it quite unnerving for the people who live in this complex, which is across the street from a secondary school.
So I heard a couple shots outside or near my house, and I thought it was fireworks because of Easter weekend. And usually that happens a lot. Fireworks like Diwali or like any sort of celebration, fireworks, but they can be confused as gunshots. And I woke up at around maybe 12, and I saw a bunch of cops outside picking up, investigating, and they were investigating a shooting.
Now, police tell us there is no risk to the public related to this shooting, likely because it was an isolated incident, but they are asking anyone with any information or video to come forward and help them out. It has been a busy area for them around here recently. After all, that double shooting, which turned into a homicide on Friday night, was only about 5 kilometers away. Reporting live from Brampton, I'm John Woodward. Michelle, back to you.
Hey, John. The Office of the Fire Marshal has been notified following an overnight blaze at a Peel Region building in Caledon. Our CTV News chopper was over Peel Region Public Works building on King Street where this fire broke out. You can see several charred vehicles and the burned out building. The fire's been knocked down, but crews are still on scene watching for hot spots. The cause at this stage is unknown, and it's unclear if the Office of the Fire Marshal will be investigating. Now, in Richmond Hill, crews responded to a fire at an abandoned home. Flames broke out just before midnight on Younghurst Road. York police say homes in the area were evacuated due to heavy smoke. No injuries have been reported. The cause of the blaze is still under investigation.
A man is dead after falling through the roof of an abandoned building in Hamilton. It happened on Saturday. Police were called to this building on Aberdeen Avenue near Highway 403 for a sudden death investigation. Once inside, police found a 19-year-old man who died at the scene. Police say his death is not considered suspicious.
Still ahead, the White House shares details of the dramatic rescue of downed U.S. airman as Trump reiterates threats to Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz.
But first, the city's Economic and Community Development Committee will consider new recommendations that could see more food trucks, vendors, and musicians on our streets. The new report looks at ways to boost revenue and increase opportunities for artists and vendors. Among the proposals is the lifting of a 24-year-old moratorium on new sidewalk vendors downtown to allow applications for permits to sell goods. It would require vendors to set up at least 25 meters from schools and establishments offering similar products. The new rules would let buskers and musicians amplify their performance at a set volume between noon and 8 p.m. The committee will discuss the report this week, and if they adopt it, it will go to full council for approval.
As of last night, the Eglinton Crosstown LRT is running later, with trains running past midnight.
It comes as the service works to get to full capacity. CTV's Beth McDonnell has more.
Late-night transit riders who travel along Eglinton can now ride Line 5 even later.
train service is being extended 6 days a week by nearly 2.5 hours.
It's been open for a couple of months now, so it's been very efficient in getting around, getting in the city, so I think it's a good idea.
So there's been a few times we've been caught or had to take a different bus because the LRT closed at an earlier time compared to the other lines. So I think it'll be really useful.
For me, I know since sometimes I'm going to be working, so I'm going to be coming home really late. So that's really useful.
Since the Eglinton LRT opened in February, service has been shutting down at 11 p.m. It now runs to 1:20 a.m. on weekdays and Sundays and until 12:30 a.m. Saturdays. While passengers are welcoming the extended hours, some believe there are still important gaps in service. The last northbound train from Union Station leaves around 1:45 a.m.
I see cause a lot of confusion between people. Just in general, having it run the same times as the subway would just be helpful to a lot of people.
So for some reason, it closes at 12:30 Saturday and 1:20 on the other nights. To me, that was the only thing that didn't make sense. I'm thinking, that doesn't make sense. Saturday should be open till 2 at least, because the bars close at 2 or last call. So, you should have the subways open.
The TTC says the line is closing earlier Saturdays because of an extended maintenance window requested by Metrolinx and Crosslinx. Others say while the new hours are good for the city, they also hope to see the frequency of trains increase to reduce commute times. How long are you waiting?
7, 8, 9 minutes, which is a long time. And after all the money that was spent on this fancy line, you think something like that could be more regular.
Service overnight along Eglinton remains unchanged. Blue night buses start running every day at 1 a.m. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
This is the final day for advanced voting in 2 Toronto by-elections next Monday that could give the federal Liberals a majority government. The polls close at 9 p.m. in the ridings of Scarborough Southwest and University Rosedale. These are considered safe seats for the Liberals. Wins by the party in both would give the government 172 seats, enough for a majority. Voters are also casting advance ballots tonight in a by-election in the Montreal area riding of Terrebonne. It was held by a Bloc Québécois MP before the last federal election. Residents in all 3 by-elections can also vote at their local Elections Canada office before 6 p.m. tomorrow or by mail if they apply by Tuesday.
Donald Trump says tomorrow night's deadline for reopening the Strait of Hormuz is final or else.
The U.S. president spoke today, also outlining the harrowing missions to rescue 2 American airmen from enemy territory. CTV senior correspondent Judy Trin reports.
As crowds gathered to watch children roll Easter eggs across the White House lawn, the U.S. president touted his war in the Middle East.
That enemy is strong, not so strong like they were about a month ago.
The example Donald Trump cited was Iran's failure to capture 2 U.S. airmen. The F-15, a $100 million fighter jet, was shot down by a shoulder-propelled missile. The pilot was found by special forces within hours, while the weapons technician climbed up a cliff and hid for 48 hours. The White House presented his rescue as their Easter story.
Shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday.
The Americans used 155 aircraft and launched decoys to confuse the Iranians about the location of the second airman.
Our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated.
The Trump administration says Iran will face further humiliation if it doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz on Tuesday. The White House says it will bomb critical infrastructure like bridges and power plants.
The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
Meanwhile, Iran has rejected a ceasefire proposal. Trump's former national security advisor says the president is in a dilemma.
He's near meltdown. He'd love to get out of this and declare victory, but he knows he can't do it as long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed.
This war, launched by the Americans and Israelis, is entering its 6th week. So far, 3,500 people have been killed, including 1,200 members of Iran's military, including some top officials. But 13 U.S. soldiers have also died. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A U.S. federal judge has ordered the contract for the new White House ballroom be made public. The ruling comes from a Freedom of Information request made in October. That same month, the East Wing was demolished to make room for Donald Trump's $400 million ballroom project. The administration has 2 weeks to hand over the contract.
CTV News has seen new ads from the federal Conservatives, and they indicate a shifting strategy and message from the leader. CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Graham Richardson has more.
It is more pro-Canada, less anti-liberal.
By a country that stands on its own feet.
A new campaign by Conservatives launching on Tuesday.
A country that is unbreakable.
All part of a slight reboot in tone from Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre has always done a superb job at holding the Liberals accountable in the House of Commons, and everybody has seen that. And I think Canadians has to see other aspects of his leadership style, things that have always been there.
History showcasing a leader who is less attack dog and more personal. Here he is last week on the UK podcast Diary of a CEO, speaking about his daughter, who has autism.
She's so much fun. Like, she's a fun little girl. She loves to jump. She's scared of nothing. If anything, the problem is she's a bit too much of a daredevil.
Last week, letting media know again he's in regular contact with the Prime Minister, briefing him on his recent tour in the United States.
We're supposed to speak on the phone, and I'm going to give him a greater update.
So will this work? Pollsters suggest the Conservatives have a deep hole to dig out of, especially on leadership.
Well, I think it's going to take more than some ads, because the thing is that he's built up his brand over the last number of years. It's been very clear. It's been tough. It's been combative. And, you know, all of a sudden, they see a bit of a softer Pierre Poilievre. It's going to take a persistent and consistent strategy.
The Nanos data suggests that Poilievre is still 30 points behind Mark Carney in who Canadians see as the best Prime Minister. Still, they believe when the Carney honeymoon ends, this new tone from Poilievre will break through with more voters. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa.
New polling suggests a majority of Canadians think we should explore joining the European Union. A survey found 1 in 4 respondents thought it would be a good idea to formally join the EU. A further 58% indicated it was a proposal worth looking into. The remainder felt it was a bad idea. The Spark Advocacy Survey of 4,000 people was conducted in March. The company says the results suggest Canadians are open to finding ways to reduce this country's reliance on the United States.
At the Vatican, Pope Leo remembered his predecessor today during the traditional Easter Monday blessing.
Con particolare affetto, alla luce del risorto, ricordiamo oggi Papa Francesco.
The pontiff referring to Pope Francis's profound witness of faith and love. He passed away last year on Easter Monday following a long illness. Today, Pope Leo also said it was important the Easter message of hope reaches the oppressed. Coming up on CTV News, come for the FIFA World Cup, but stay to explore Ontario. New research anticipates a boost in tourism, but traffic will be a factor. We'll run through the findings.
Well, we are taking a bit of a step backwards into winter tonight and for tomorrow morning. Waking up tomorrow, temperature near -4 degrees, wind chill -13. Kids might need the parka again, and depending on which part of Ontario you're joining us from, there could be measurable snow through to about midday tomorrow, maybe even a trace to a centimeter or 2 here in the GTA, but it's not all bad news. We've got some sunny stretches to look forward to for the middle of the week, and coming up, we'll show you just how high the temperature could climb on Thursday. That's after the break here on CTV News.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Ahead of the World Cup, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has provided some clarity on what role its ICE agents play in Canada. An ICE spokesperson says its agents do not carry firearms and do not make arrests or execute search warrants in Canada. However, they can work along with Canadian authorities on investigations. In Toronto, City Council passed a motion last month that opposes ICE agents at World Cup games, and Canada's public safety minister says the American agency has no authority or jurisdiction on Canadian soil.
Just over 2 months to kick off for the FIFA World Cup.
And while Toronto plays host to 6 matches, new research reveals Ontario is likely to benefit from fans looking to explore further afield while they're here. CTV's Mike Walker reports.
The clock is quickly counting down until the FIFA World Cup, and excitement is growing among soccer fans from all over.
Concert brings everyone together.
I'm a huge soccer fan.
Nick is visiting Toronto from Germany, and while he won't be here for FIFA, he plans to make the most of his trip traveling beyond the city limits.
So we will make one trip to Niagara Falls because, I mean, it's, let's say, one of the go-to places in the world, I guess.
And that's in line with new research for Destination Ontario that found 9 in 10 travelers are likely to explore other regions and destinations outside of Toronto during their FIFA World Cup trip. 54% are most likely to travel outside Toronto after the tournament ends.
We like to go to the wider areas. We love to just walk around Toronto, shopping as well, you know.
More than 1,400 people, mainly from the U.S., UK, France, and Germany, responded to the survey. They are all considering, planning, or have booked their trips to Toronto for the World Cup. The Niagara region is the top destination outside Toronto, followed by Ottawa, with southwest and northern Ontario and the Hamilton area rounding out the top 5. Most respondents plan to stay an average of just 5 days, and a majority are willing to travel up to 3 hours. The research notes that tourist choices are driven by travel time, cost, convenience, and transportation reliability. It also warns congestion could impact tourism destinations beyond Toronto. The report states the same themes reappear as barriers to going beyond Toronto, where limited trip time, overall budgets, the extra cost of traveling further, and concern about travel duration or congestion all dampen appetite for regional exploitation. For these tourists from the UK who just traveled to Niagara, they say it's all about accessibility and costs.
We did take this like a minibus thing. We did it as a all-included thing, so it was a lot cheaper and easier to do.
Only 11% of those surveyed have tickets to a match. The report notes travelers want clear guidance on food, navigation, attractions, travel times, budgets, and accommodations before and during their trip. Mike Walker, CTV News.
And when the FIFA World Cup does finally arrive in 2 months in our city, it'll be a lot warmer than it is now. There are, what I think is nice, some warm days ahead this week, but we have to get through a real cold night and some flurries.
Yeah, I'm thinking about tomorrow for everybody heading back to school and for some back to work. You better dress for it.
Yeah, back into the winter jacket, I think, for most. Probably the snowsuits for the kids, too, especially depending on which part of the province you're joining us from. So, yes, we do have some accumulating snow in store, and it's going to be quite chilly tomorrow morning, tomorrow daytime, and tomorrow night into the day on Wednesday. But we've got some good stuff to talk about after that. Let me show you what it looked like earlier this afternoon. This is as the first round of flurries and rain showers moved in. This was looking west toward Mississauga from our CTV News chopper. Now, some of what's been out there today hasn't quite been making it to the ground. We call that virga, and that's where the radar can look a little more overwhelming than what's actually making contact with us down at ground level. However, we have had flurries in different pockets of the GTA. We've had rain showers in other areas. And I'm sorry to say, this is really just the beginning, because later on today, this evening, and into tomorrow, we can expect, as Environment Canada is wording it, brief but intense bursts of snow. And then, well, there's the next clipper that's going to move in for Thursday and Friday. But we will get to that. Here's a look at the special weather statement in place. Recently added to this, Owen Sound, the Blue Mountains, included in this areas like New Tecumseth, Innisfil, Uxbridge, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa, and then extending further eastward to areas like Stirling, Tweed, and Kingston. This is where accumulating snow is most likely to happen through the night tonight and into tomorrow. Maybe a couple of centimeters for the GTA. Communities right along the lakeshore might be spared, but look at that, maybe 10 centimeters of snow or more for parts of Muskoka, maybe over toward the Haliburton area. That's around 11:30 tonight. So you can see that it is some mixing that's expected here in Toronto, maybe a couple of rain showers. There's tomorrow morning at about 6 a.m. So York, Durham, eastward. You can expect a trace to a couple of centimeters of snow, as mentioned, but Tuesday afternoon, beautiful sunshine. Wednesday starts off sunny too. Then we get a bit of an increase in cloud. Thursday, we are forecasting some showers at this point, but it's also looking like it's likely going to be our warmest day of the week. We'll get to that momentarily. We're at 2 degrees this hour at Pearson Airport. Overnight tonight, we fall to about -3, wind chill -11. Temperature could cool even further before we warm up into the afternoon. This is about as warm as it's going to get. 2 degrees for us here locally, but below freezing in places for tomorrow. So this is not typical of April. This is quite cool for this time of year. Fortunately, somewhat short-lived. By Wednesday, we're starting to climb closer to seasonal. 10 is our average high this time of year. There's Thursday, 16 degrees. It looks like Friday will be an unsettled end to our work and school week, but we will dry out and warm up in time for the weekend. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, a decision that can save lives through the power of organ donation. Just ahead, an inspirational reminder as we approach Green Shirt Day.
Today is the 8th anniversary of the tragic Humboldt Broncos crash that claimed the lives of 10 young hockey players and 6 others.
But the legacy of player Logan Boulet lives on through Green Shirt Day, which is tomorrow. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the story.
They called it the Logan Boulet effect when the organs of the 21-year-old were donated the day after the crash, saving several lives and inspiring thousands to register as organ donors.
Literally 5 lives with solid organs and then corneas. And we had a lot of people tell us after that cornea transplant is saving someone's life because now they can see.
I was in Vancouver donating my kidney through the kidney paired exchange program, September 9th. I was in the waiting room and doing different things and sitting there going, wow, oh, there's this Green Shirt Day contest coming up.
Last year, Candace Cernowski's relative was in dire need of a kidney, but she wasn't a match for him. So she gave her left kidney as part of a chain of transplant donations, ensuring her cousin would get a kidney that did match.
They have a very poor quality of life. So it was really stuffed to see him as a young 30-year-old in his mid-30s man not being able to work and function, take care of himself.
It took her several weeks to return to work, but she says the benefits for the recipient are immediate. And this year, her design was chosen as the logo for Green Shirt Day.
The big puck, and then the lines here are supposed to show it sort of flying the puck. The hockey sticks, the number 27 is Logan Boulet's number.
Logan's dad, Toby Boulet, says this year's theme is one decision can create a lasting ripple effect. And while he would love to see everyone wear a green shirt on April 7th, he says the most important thing is for families to talk about organ donation.
It's about the conversation. Without the conversation, a transplant doesn't occur in Canada. The family has to agree to it, even in the provinces of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, where there's presumed consent. If the family says no, it's a no. So you have to have the conversation.
Across Canada, more than 4,000 people are waiting for organ transplants, about 70% for kidneys. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Some potential good news for TV and movie watchers. The Writers Guild of America and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers have announced a tentative agreement. It comes about a month before the current contract expires. The negotiating committee unanimously approved the 4-year agreement. The union membership still needs to vote on it, but you might remember a 2023 strike by the Writers Guild that lasted 248 days and seriously impacted production schedules for months.
Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show for the first time since her mother disappeared more than 2 months ago.
Pretty shot of the sun coming up. Good morning. Welcome to Today on this Monday morning. We are so glad you started your week with us, and it is good to be home.
Yes, it is good to have you.
Guthrie's co-anchor Craig Melvin greeted Guthrie, saying it was good to have her back at home. Despite an intensive search involving thousands of federal and local officials, no sign has been found of Nancy Guthrie. Authorities believe the 84-year-old mother of 3 was taken against her will from her Arizona home on February 1st. An update now on a BC woman who is locked up in a South Korean jail, believed to be the victim of a romance scam.
She thought she was meeting the man of her dreams. Instead, she was caught transporting illegal drugs. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson reports.
Inside this South Korean jail, Spring Parks of Surrey, BC, has been locked up for more than 2 months.
Her spirits are okay.
not great, but okay. She is in prison, and it's not a pleasant place to be anywhere.
The 59-year-old is deaf and struggles to communicate. She was caught entering South Korea with close to 4 kilograms of methamphetamine hidden in the bottom of her bag.
The prosecutors, naturally, when they see this amount of drugs and drugs being brought in, they don't believe the allegation that this was a scam.
But that's exactly what Park's defense team is convinced of after learning more about her story of traveling from Vancouver to meet a man she'd fallen in love with online, who they say first had her pick up a bag in South Africa.
They prey on wanting this love, wanting attention, wanting someone in their actual life in their later years. Even incredibly intelligent people get caught up in this.
And for Parks, who lawyers say had no idea what was in the bag, then came the hard realization her new love was using her as a drug mule.
She had a difficult time processing this whole situation. She was very emotional and sad.
Her daughters, Andrea and Laureen, in Metro Vancouver, learned their mom was in a foreign jail in a single shocking text and haven't been able to speak to her.
It's a mix of like trying to stay strong and then feeling completely overwhelmed at the same time.
Since they first went public with their mom's story, they've also realized she is not alone.
Wow, this is really happening to a lot of people. This is something like bigger than our mom at this point.
Vancouver lawyer Jason Tarno has represented several romance scam victims and says the scammers are sophisticated and rarely caught.
They're using burner accounts and burner phones and burner email addresses, and they're gone with the wind after their parcel gets intercepted.
The team representing Spring Parks feels a good outcome here would be a conviction where her disability is taken into account. She's given credit for time already served and is released in a few months. A bad outcome? Up to 10 years in prison. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
After the break, setting the tempo. Tickets go on sale for Toronto's first ever WNBA game at Coca-Cola Coliseum. Details on the franchise debut coming up.
Stocks and oil prices flip-flopped today ahead of Donald Trump's deadline to attack Iranian power plants. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more.
The U.S. stock market in particular made only hesitant moves today ahead of Tuesday's deadline. Equities rose for a fourth straight day, with the S&P 500 seeing its longest win streak since January. The TSX also continued to recover for a fourth consecutive session. Meanwhile, oil climbed once again, and bonds and the dollar wavered. OPEC and its allies have agreed to raise their oil output quotas by over 200,000 barrels per day for May. The modest increase is largely symbolic, as many of OPEC's key members are unable to raise production due to the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. And Barrick Mining has decided to slow the development of one of its key mines in Pakistan amid security concerns. The Reko Diq mine is one of the world's largest underdeveloped copper and gold deposits and was expected to rank among the world's premier copper and gold operations. Barrick says the continued review of the project will likely go until mid-2027. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up, sitting at 71.86. West Texas Intermediate climbed 87 cents. Western Canadian Select is also up more than $5 to 80.51. And the TSX finished the day higher, just over 33,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
A U.S. judge has thrown out a proposed class action lawsuit that accused the makers of Stanley brand tumblers of hiding the fact the water bottles contain lead. The tumblers became popular thanks to social media influencers. Litigation began after reports of possible lead contamination went viral in 2024. The manufacturer has acknowledged a small amount of lead is used, but is not accessible to consumers. In dismissing the proposed action, the judge said, quote, "A specific and plausible risk of harm was not demonstrated."
Some exciting news for fans of Canada's first WNBA team. Single game tickets for Toronto Tempo games at Coca-Cola Coliseum go on sale this week. A Tempo member pre-sale is on now, with other pre-sales happening throughout the week. The general public will get their first chance to buy single game tickets beginning Friday morning at 10 o'clock. The Tempo host Washington for their season opener May 8th. The team revealed its inaugural roster this past weekend, picking 11 players in the expansion draft.
The world's first professional curling league began play in Toronto today. The inaugural event of the Rock League kicked off at the Mattamy Center, or Athletic Center. It goes until Sunday and offers more than $347,000 in prize money, with about $139,000 going to the winning team. And there's some big names competing, including Canadians Brad Jacobs, Rachel Homan, and Carrie Einarsson, as well as curlers from several other countries. Each of the 6 teams blends men and women from different countries, squaring off in men's and women's matches, as well as mixed doubles.
Just ahead, Toronto's new electric island ferries need names, and time is running out to have your say. We'll bring you up to speed on what names made the shortlist in moments.
Finally tonight, just a few hours left to cast your vote.
What should the city name its new island ferries? Toronto's new electric ferries are gearing up to go into service, and voting on their names closes at 11:59 tonight. Now, these are the old ones. We haven't seen the shiny new ones yet, but the city released a short list of 13 options, which were selected by a committee of staff and community partners. The list includes names like Great Lake Dancer, Island Chickadee, Water Strider, Harbor Swan, and Lady of the Keys. The winning names will be announced later this spring. Lindsay.
And it won't be long before we are taking ferries over to the island. But tonight, unfortunately, we are talking about a few flurries, a few showers. Here's what that looks like on the satellite and radar. Now, there is a special weather statement in place, a warning of accumulating snow in some spots. Tomorrow, it's going to be chilly, but the winds do settle down. There's a look at the next 3 days. At least we're going to warm up Thursday and get sunshine Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. Michelle and Nathan.
Something to look forward to. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us. But be sure to join Omar Sachedina at 11 tonight for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.